Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wide for Success. I'm Steve Costello, and my colleague over there in London, England, is Patience Modevi. Hi,
Hi.
Patience. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, if you're catching the video version of this, you'll see that we're going to talk about what to do when your teens are in a romantic relationship or relationships. That's the main part of the topic, but the problem is there are so many strands and aspects to this particular topic. We're not even going to try to cover them all today. We just had a 10-minute discussion before we started today's podcast, and it revealed so much, really so much. As I said, we're going to have to break it down. So, what do we do when our teens are in or considering being in a romantic relationship or relationships, even? So, what do we do as parents? Well, one of the things I do is observe. I observe, I listen. I listen to what my kids are talking about. I watch their behavior change. So, good point on this one. My 16, almost 17-year-old daughter started going out with a boy about 2 months ago, give or take, and she changed. She changed in a very positive way, but she changed. The child of before was not the child of today, as it were. So, in a very short space of time, things happened. So, fortunately, there's nothing to worry about with this relationship. It's nice that it's friendly. The young guy concerned is a nice guy. My partner happens to know his grandma, so we know something about the family. So we've got loads of information. And when our daughter realized that we had all this loads of information, she cringed. She didn't like that at all. It was almost as though we had the upper hand, but that's not what it was about from our point of
Mm,
view. Our point of view was we want everything to be good. Okay, not everything can always be fantastic, but we want everything to be as good as it possibly can be without any dangers. So, patience, what gets you going on this topic?
Oh, there's so much to say. There's so much to say. Like, where do we begin? That's the question today. Where do we begin? So, I think a great thing, like you said, um, when we start observing, we start picking up the changes. So when you mentioned that, I think that's a good startup for this topic, because when you notice something is changing, you will definitely know whether it's a positive change or it's a negative change. So the idea is not that it is a negative change for the parent or a positive change for the parent, but how is it showing up in your teenager? That's one. Second, I think it's really important to have a really open mind or open view on what romantic relationships in our day and age look like. So, Steve and I were talking about this a little bit before, as we do always have our chats. And our way of starting relationships a long time ago, not a long time ago, but a few decades ago, a few decades ago, was quite different. But now there is another way that the society has evolved. The society is quick and fast. Everything is coming so quickly. Everything is happening really intensely. And often, what as a parent you can be worried about is knowing whether your teenager can do the difference between what is going to be safe for them or what is not going to be safe for them. So, in with every parent, the rule, I think the rule with every parent is to know that you've given every tools to your child, at least that they can go ahead and be able to be independent and be able to do choices, good choices that is going to benefit them in their lives. So when we come to romantic relationships now, and knowing that as a parent, you don't necessarily have the same views or the same experience as your teenager, how do you support your teenager? And this is where everything becomes so crucial. This is where everything becomes so crucial. So, what we want to do in this is we want to, first of all, be aware of what is happening with our teens. Our teens might not want to be in a romantic relationship. And I think it's good to know. It's good to know in a way that, first of all, you can support them into understanding where they're at. Is it because they feel shy about talking about this? Because I could talk to you about my pre-teenager, my pre-teenager who is like, girlfriend, what are you talking about? When I know things are happening, or things, thoughts are being thought of, but um it's a subject that looks taboo for him. There's other people, other teenagers who are in relationships, romantic relationships, and feel like the person is their world. And often, what can happen is that if the person has values that relate to maybe positivity and things that they can do in life and things like that, it goes well. But what happens when the person has values that are damaging to your teenager? How can they pick up the subtleties? How can they advocate for themselves in that relationship? Those are the things that you need to try to communicate with your teenagers. The idea, like I said from the beginning, is never to put our own point of view on what we think should be happening. I think the idea is really like what Steve was saying, to observe, to guide, and to advise if possible, but then to withdraw and to step out.
Yeah, I think that there are some excellent points there, Patience. And I hope it's not disturbing, but my 2-year-old grandson sounds like he's having a mini riot
No, not at all.
upstairs.
We used to that.
There's a lot of laughter as well, so it's a
That's okay.
positive mini riot, but sounds like what's happening. So, observing, talking, to start a conversation with a 16-year-old at 16, when there's been no previous history of talking about the things that matter, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be
Yeah,
always very, very difficult for both parties, for the parent and for the 16-year-old.
yeah, that's true.
This is why we advocate talking about all kinds of things, not just about relationships, about all kinds of subjects that come up in a young person's life, or that will come up even. So the sooner we can start having these conversations that matter, the easier it will be later on in life. The easier it will be to say to a son or a daughter, hey, are you sure about this relationship? Because if we are used to having conversations, they will take it as a fair question. If they're not used to the conversations, hey, are you sure about this relationship? We'll put the warning fences up. They won't want to talk about it. They'll possibly think, here they go again. Our parents are interfering. Our parents are trying to tell me what I should do or what I shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So having conversations matters enormously, really, really. Patience talked about the speed of relationships today, and we did have a little giggle earlier. that when she met her husband and I met my partner some decades ago, in my case in particular, that the pace was different. So we met, we had a liking for one another, but we had time. We had time to take a breath. And we met, we went apart to work, to live in separate houses. We went out on a date for a few hours and then we went away again for a week or whatever it happened to be, and slowly but surely the relationship built from there. And that was great. That was really positive. That was a slow way. But today's way is very much quicker. There are dating apps. There are all kinds of things, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of this stuff accelerates almost
Mm,
everything. In some situations that can be a good thing, but in things like relationships, we need to be able to take that breath. We need to be able to pause and reflect. Am I in the right place? Sometimes we maybe as teens jump into a relationship because it seems exciting. But if we've met somebody online and there are more than enough stories without me having to go into any details, if we met somebody and went and planned to meet them the following week, that could end badly. If we meet somebody online who encourages us to show our body online in photographs or video, that can end very badly. There are enough situations where that's happened, and then suddenly photos have been shared. They're not just fictional stories, they're real. So we need to be very aware of the things that are available to young people
mm,
today. And I think as well, the sadness isn't just that this stuff is happening to young people, it's being led by adults in some situations as well. So we need to be aware of that. But it's not all bad because there are genuine people out there looking for relationships
yeah.
because they're introverted and can't put themselves out into a cafe, a youth center, or whatever. So using a dating app or social media is perhaps a good way for some people, and that's okay. But we need to be very aware. That's why we need to keep having the conversations. So let's think about that. How can we have a conversation? We can ask questions, non-threatening questions. We can share information. Did you hear the story that was in the news about that dating app? This stuff happened. What do you think? Have an open conversation. Open conversations lead to amazing things. So what other things can we do, patients, to enable
I
these
love the question.
open
I love the
conversations?
questioning. And I think one question that really always come to mind for me is, how do you feel? How does this feel? So when you are with your partner, when you are with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or you don't want to put a pronoun to it, or you don't want to say what it is, how does it feel inside? Because most of the time, when we stop and when we look, and I'm talking about myself, I think for me and for Steve, also because of the way we work, and when you think of being mindful to yourself, to and living a mindful life, um, the idea is to stop. So, as a parent, if you can try, I don't want to say try is not a good word, but if you can create a space for your teen to stop and to be able to just feel. They don't have to know anything, they don't have to be sure or certain or 100%. Just feel, how do they feel with this person? Believe me, just from them describing how do they feel, you will be able to pick up a lot of things, a lot of information. How they're being treated, how they're not being treated, what's happening, what's not happening. You'll be able to pick up everything. and for themselves, they will have they will have taken control on what it is that is happening on in the relationship. So when we are in the movement, so we're talking about the fast life. When we are in the movement and we keep going, there is no there is no real way to to realize whether we're on the right track or we're not on the right track. We're just going until we eat something and we have to stop. And this is for everyone. I think it's like a circle of life. If you keep going, you're going to be stopped by something. Something, someone is going to happen. So the idea is that instead of waiting until we get to that stage where something has stopped us, where an event has happened, where someone is come and crash into someone else, let's say, what we can do is take that moment and create a habit. So create a habit with a team so that they understand what is happening inside. The more they are in touch with their inner belief, their inner peace, their inner life, if I can say it like that, the more they'll be able to take, to really, be confident in saying, oh, you know what, the way you're treating me, I don't like it. It doesn't feel right. It does not feel right here. I'm not going to continue. Or, ooh, the way you treat me, it feels so nice. I want to continue. And I also want to make you feel nice. This is what you want to know. So I think, like Stevie said before, we can't really go into all the details, and we'll do a few episodes where we'll go a little bit in more details. But I think that's something that you can take and start doing from now on.
Yeah. Finally, for me, just a thought on comparison. So I could share several stories about situations where people have compared themselves to what another person's doing and thought, oh, I should be doing that too. And in two cases that I can think of, the one who decided I should do that too actually said, no, I shouldn't in the
Yeah.
end. So that can be quite damaging. It can damage confidence. It can do all kinds of things. So we need to be very careful about comparing ourselves to others. So that's another conversation about comparison. We've talked about values in previous episodes. For example, parental values about relationships.
Yeah.
And it's okay to share those values, but our young people are growing up in a very different world to even 20 years ago. So we need to take into consideration the world that they're growing up in. We need to perhaps learn from them. If I need to know something, for example, about Snapchat, I don't look on Snapchat. I don't even have a Snapchat account. I ask my daughter, and she tells me because I know nothing, as she puts it.
Yeah.
So we need to enlist their support as well, so that we can understand the world they're growing up in.
Yeah. And I
So
can
that's
say
it.
the same thing, about TikTok. I think it was my son who put me on TikTok. I was like, what is this TikTok? I don't understand. I mean, yes, like you said, we are living in this different worlds. So maybe on both sides, we need to have like an open mind and an open view onto what life is for each other.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll be back for more. This topic is not done, not by a very long way.
All
If
right.
you need to get in touch, you can do that. There we go. Call me on +33 76754 5557. And Patience is on. Patience.
I'm on 44 +44 79525 1260. Feel free to call us, to WhatsApp us, and we will be able to support you and help you, give you some guidance. The idea is Steve and myself are here to support you into creating a better relationship with your teenagers, but also creating a better relationship with yourself. So, if you need support or if you feel like you would like to know a little bit more about any of the subject that we go through, just feel free, get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to help you. All right, then.
Perfect.
So you take care, and we will see you in the next episode.
Take care, everybody. See you later.